Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial, we're trying to see how to update our dataset that we used for the coronavirus outbreak analysis that we did previously, right? So we'll be trying to see how to update the dataset, since it is a time series sort of dataset in which every day there are new dataset. We want to update that particular dataset and see the distribution. Then we are going to see how to automate the updating process. So let's work on it. So I'll just come back to this particular URL, which is where I got the dataset from on GitHub. So it's going to be the name of the particular place is John Hopkins, right? And everybody knows John Hopkins, a very trusted institution or trusted university. So if I come back to their repository, I just go to the COVID-19. Then from here, you can see that it has 3 folders, right? So this was updated about 13 hours ago. So that's what we're trying to use. But let's read the README, right? To be reading our README. So based on the README, they have the place that they also got their datasets from WHO. That means that it's trusted. China CDC, Taiwan CDC, most countries, their CDC, US CDC. Very, very interesting. So that is something interesting, right? So this is where they got their datasets from. Now let's check for the terms of use. It's very, very important and always recommended to check the terms of use for everybody's dataset, so that you not get yourself into problem. So based on their terms of use, this data set is strictly for educational and academic research purpose, right? That is what you're trying to do. So it is public. So now let's see how to work on it. So I just come back to the same place. I'll go to the one that was recently updated. Then I'll come back to here. We have our daily report. We have our time series. So from here, you can see that we have 3 datasets. We have the confirmed, the death, and then the recovered. So I'll just open the confirmed, I'll open the death, and then I'll open the recovered. So these things that I'm opening, you can actually clone the repository and then do whatever you want to do, right? But we are using the simple format. This is simple for me anyway. So this is how our dataset looks like, right? It's like a time series data. So it has been updated. So this is from 22nd of January, but as time goes on, there are more being added. So if I come back, I scroll down here and I check for the current one. So let's go to here and come back again. You can see from here that this is in 4th of March, right? So that means that they are updating it each and every day. So how do we fetch the datasets, the new datasets that are being added, and then do an analysis? So that's what we're trying to do. So I just come back to this place and go to the raw for our confirmed dataset here, which is this one. Then I'll copy this one here, and then we'll do some stuff with it. So let's come back to our notebook. So this is what we're trying to be using. So we're using Pandas, Pandas, Matplotlib. So let's first of all create a variable called confirmed. Let's go to confirmed cases URL. Right, you'll be fetching that particular dataset. So this is one of the ways in which you can fetch your dataset. You can download it from here, from the clone, GitHub clone. Can download it from here and then do what you are doing, but I'm using this simple format, right? So this is simple format. So I just copy it from this particular URL. Don't forget the raw, and I'm storing inside this particular variable called confirmed cases, right? Then I'll create another one for the recovered cases. So recovered cases URL, which is going to be for another one. Then I'll create another one for the death cases, right? So death cases URL, so that we have all of them. Okay, perfect. So that is something very easy. So let's copy the one. This is for the confirmed cases. Now let's check for the one for the death. So I just go to the raw here, click on it, and get the same URL for that. So I'll copy this one here and then add it for the death, right? So that's going to be for our death cases. Then let's go for the next one, which is going to be for our recovered. So I'll just copy that one for the raw. So it's going to be for the recovered. So I'll copy this one here. Then I'll paste it for the raw recovered, right? So now we have our 3 datasets: confirmed cases, recovered, and death. Let's make sure that they are the same. So confirmed, recovered, death. Perfect. So I'm going to store inside a variable, and now we can be able to do some stuff with it. So Pandas gives you the option of actually copying a dataset from GitHub, right, in a very simple way into memory. So let's try that one. So I'm going to load our dataset. So let's load our first dataset. So let's go to df confirm. So that's going to be for our confirmed dataset, and I just go with pd.read_csv. Then I'll pass in my confirmed cases, confirmed cases URL, right? So by this Pandas will automatically identify this URL and then download it like a table. So let's try that one out. So if I come back here, I just go with df.confirm, right, .head. Now perfect, you can see that our dataset has been downloaded in memory. Very, very interesting, right? So we can actually work with it. So this is our dataset, but you can see from here that this is like a time series, right? And it's going this way, but we want it to be like our previous dataset, like this way. This was the one we used. We want it to come downwards, not this way, right? So from here you can see that these are constants, and then the date is going downwards, right? But what we have here is the other way around. So how do we solve this problem? So let's check for the shape of this. So confirm the shape. If I check for the shape, it's about 160, right? So we have to make sure that we reshape it in such a way that we'll be able to meet up with this particular stuff, right? Like this. So in other words, we'll be trying to see how to change it from this format. So let's check the columns. Here df underscore confirmed dot columns. If I check for the columns, you see that they are a lot, right? But the constant ones are these ones. These are the constant ones, and then these ones are like time series. So we have to make sure that we arrange it well. So how do we do that? That is, we're using melt to help us with that. So this is what we are trying to do. So we're using Pandas melt. So Pandas has a very nice function to help us with that. So if my dataset is something like this, and I want to melt it, right? So it's going to keep this one, the first name and the last name, as constant, but melt these ones and put them in this particular format. Right, so that's what we'll be trying to do. That is exactly how this thing is like. So let's see how to do that. So I'll just come back to the same place, and let's call that as df.c, right? Let's make it perfect like this. Dot confirm confirm, right? So we are trying to do the same thing that you have here. Confirm dot melt, right? So dot melt, then from our picture, what we are supposed to pass is an ID for the variables we want to keep as constant, these ones, right? So in our case, what we want to keep as constant is these 3, these 5 or 4, right? So these are what I'm keeping as constant, and then this is what is going to be changed here. So that is what we are going to be seeing here. So let's try that one. So I'll just come back to the same place and pass in my ID vars, and I'll pass it here, right? Perfect. So it's supposed to be this format, right? Perfect. So we have it perfectly well in a nice format. Now if I run this one now, it's going to melt it perfectly, and it's just change it to be like this. Very, very interesting, which is quite interesting, right? So just converted it from this format, this long format, to this format, which is similar to what we did with the melt, right? Very simple. So that's what we have done. That is how to change it. Very, very simple. So now we have to make sure that we rename this one variable and value to their respective stuff. So let's do the renaming, but let me put this one inside a particular variable here. So let me make it bigger so that you can see it very well. Apologies for this. So I'm going to call it as df dot, let's go as confirm confirm df, right? We are changing it the other way around. So this is it. We are just changing the name, and then we are going to store it there, right? And then from here I can just df. If I change it, see that it's like this, so I have to rename this particular one. So let's rename it into a better format. I'll just come back to this place, dot rename, and we are going to name some columns. So the columns we are going to be renaming is our variable, this particular variable that we have here. We're renaming this variable as dates, and then value as the confirmed, right, to match up with what you have. So it's going to be this variable to date, and then value, you're going to set value as the particular stuff that you want, which is the confirmed, right? So that is the basic idea behind what you're doing. So it's supposed to be this format. It's supposed to be the dictionary. That is all. So if I go back to this, and I have to make sure that I go with in place, it's equal to true to make the change is permanent. Why can't I spell true? Okay, perfect. So if I come back to the confirm df.head, now everything is perfectly well, right? So we have our date and we have our confirm. So we have them to see how to fix this particular issue in a very nice format. So we have them to get a new one. So if I go back to the same thing I did, the confirmed, and that's the confirmed dot shape. And now it is bigger, right? Very, very interesting. So that means that that's been updated. So if I do the tail, you can see that df.tail. If I do the tail, you see that these are in March, right? Today is March, so we are in March, right? So that means that these are updated data sets. So let's try and see how to do the same thing for the rest. So how do we do that? So I can just come back to this place and create a function to fetch the data and then reshape them. Right? So that is the name of the function. That's what we're trying to create a function to make it simple for us. So I just call this function as get and then melt, right? You can just give it any name. Melt data. So what I'm going to do is I'll pass in my URL, then I'll pass in the particular data that I'm fetching and the particular name I want to give, because from here we gave this particular one as confirmed, right? So we want to make sure that our value, which was here, this our value here, is changed to meet that particular data set that you are fetching, so that in case you are merging them, it will be easy for us to know what you are merging on, right? That is the basic idea. So I'll just pass in this place as my case type. So we have 3 cases for now. Then from here I can just go with my simple df, and I'll use pandas.read underscore csv and pass in my data underscore URL to fetch that particular data set. Then I'll melt it. So let's go to melted df. Then from here I'll just do the same thing that we did here for the melting, the same thing that we did to melt it here, and the same thing we do for this place. So I'll just come back down here and then do the same thing here, right? So it's going to be df.melt, right? Something very simple. So I hope you get the point. Then after melting it, I have to rename it. So I'll just come back to melted.df.rename. Then I'll rename it just as I renamed this one with this option. I'll copy the same thing here, and then I'll pass it here. So this is going to be the renaming option. Then what we'll be doing that for, in this case, we're not be using confirmed, but we'll be using the case type. So the case type for that particular stuff. That is all. Then we have to return our melted data frame. That is all that we do. So let's save this one here. So I have an error here. Okay, see the mistake I made. Let's run it again. Perfect, everything is working. Now let's try it out. So I'll be using it to fetch our data. We'll be fetching our dates and then our recovered. So these are the ones that you'll be fetching with our function. So I'll just call it as one as my, let's call it as one as recovered df. Then I'll pass in my function get and melt data. Then I'll pass in the first URL, which is my recovered. Why can't I spell recovered? Recovered URL, right? And then I'll pass in the particular name I want to give, which is going to be my recovered. But that is going to be the first one. Then I have to do the same one for the next one, which is going to be for my debt, right? Not for my debt, but for the debts. Not for my debt, for the debts. Okay. This is going to be debt URL, right? And this is going to be for debt plural. So we have gotten our recovered. Let's make sure that we are actually using a recovered. Okay, this is recovered cases, right? So it's supposed to be recovered cases, not just recovered. Otherwise, would have fetched something wrong. We would have gotten an error. So this is going to be our recovered cases. So let's paste in cases here, right? Def cases and then recovered cases. So let's run it out. So it's going to fetch them and store them. Perfect. So everything has been stored. So if I check again for the head, for that one, it's going to be recovered df.head. Perfect. Everything is working as expected, right? And if I check for the shape of it, you'll be surprised that it will be the same shape like the one that we have. So shape, this is 6800. So if I check for the shape of all of them, so print my shape for the debts, df.shape. I wanted to make it plenty so that you see all of them. So this is also like that. I can just do the same thing for this one here, pass it above, So this is going to be print this one. Then let's try that one for the confirm. So print confirm df the shape. Perfect. So all of them are the same shape and the same size, right? That means that we are getting the actual data set. So the next thing we are going to do is that we are trying to mesh them together. Right now we have seen how to merge them in a right format. Now let's see how to merge them in such a way that we will be able to get it like this, right, with the updated data set. So let's see how to do that. Okay, so now let's see how to do that. So we'll be calling it as, let's say, merging or joining, right? You can use merge or join to help us with that. So how do we do that? So we will be, Pandas gives us the option of being able to do that. So just try that one out. So let's first of all try with something simple. So we have our confirm df, right? That is our data frame that we are working on. If I go with head, we can see that this is what we are working on. Now I want to merge this confirmed and then the other one, which is going to be my recovered df together dot head. Right, if I check it, they're almost the same thing, right? Almost the same. So what I want to do, I want to pick this particular column here and add it to this one, right? Because they are the same stuff, the same row, the same number, the same data set. So how do we do that? So we can just use the simple format. So let's call this one as my new data frame, which is going to be in this particular format. We're going to take the confirm, right? We'll take the confirmed data frame, which is this one, which is going to be the first one. Then I'm going to use join to join the recovered, right? But if I join the recovered, you see that the recovered already has these ones which are repeated, right? So it's going to make it longer. You can use merge to help us with that, but we don't want to merge it on anything because they are almost the same stuff. So I'll just pick only this particular column and then join it to it, right? That is the basic idea. So I just come back to the same place and go with my recovered df. Then I'll pick only the recovered, right? Recovered. So if I pick the recovered and I run it, perfect. So let's try it and see. So new df dot head. If I check it now, I see that now the recovered has been added to it, right? Which is very true. If I come back and I confirm with our what we had, see that this one was 1 0 14 0 6 0 1 0, just as we are having here, right? It's almost the same thing, right? That means that there's actually no mistake with it. Very interesting. So that is the first one, right? This is the method that I am using. Okay, so we have seen how to merge them together. Now let's see how to merge all the three of them together. So the simplest way of merging all of them. So let's call this one as df for final, our final data set. So let's call this one as final data set. We are merging everything together. Then I'll just go with my confirm. Let's do the same thing here. I'll copy this one here. This is another way of doing it, right? This, then I'll just go with dot join again because this is going to produce a data frame. Dot join, then I'll pass in the depth df, right? The depth df column. So if I run it now, perfect. So that's joining. So this is joining all the three of them together, right? So we are joining all three. Perfect. So if I come back and I run it again, so my final data frame dot head has been joined perfectly. So we have our confirmed, recovered, and our depth. Very simple. Now let's do for the tail to see whether we have gotten new updates. Perfect. So this is for these particular dates. See that these dates are there, right? Very, very interesting. So this is 4th of March, right? As is expected, and then the states are there already. Perfect. So that is how to reshape our dataset. Now we can actually save this dataset that we have, which is very important. So let's save it. Save data. It's going to be my final df.2 CSV, and I can just call it as coronavirus updated dataset .csv, right? So I can just save it perfectly. So it's going to be saved, and I can use this one to do my analysis. That is how to prepare, or that is how I prepare the dataset from all that we had so far. Now let's see how to actually automate that particular process. But before we automate, let's do some plots to see the outcome now. So let's do some simple plots, some geospatial plots. So using, as we did earlier on, Pandas to help us with that. So I just come back to this place and copy in the code there. So that we save ourselves of time. So this will be called final dataset. Call this one as final df, and then this is going to be our final df, right? So this is the reason I'm doing this is because we have our dataset like final df dot columns. So we have our longitude and latitude. So I'm just converting them to a geodata frame to be able to allow us to be able to plot it, right? So that is why we are doing that. Then from that we'll be able to do any plot you want to do by going with the normal GDF01 dot plot. If I do the normal plot, let's say kind is equal to line, or let's give it a figure, fixed size, which is going to be 2010, as we have been doing. It's going to plot it perfectly for us, but this is not going to be clear for us to see. It's okay, we'll be able to see it very well, but you'll be trying to see that this is the distribution of it, right? But you want to overlap it with the map. So as we learned earlier on, I'll just copy and then put it in the code because it is almost the same thing. So this is our world map. Then now I'll be able to get that particular, so this is going to be our world map, right, which is this one. So I want to overlap it with our current data to see if there's any changes in what you have done, what you have seen so far. So I'll just come back to this place. So I'll come back and then let's call this one as overlapping. We overlap with our data. So how do we do that? So I just come back here and then give it the same thing that we did. So I'm going to go with my figure and then my axis. This is going to be for my plt.subplot. Perfect. Then I'll pack see my figure size. So fig size here is going to be 20. Let's make it 2010, or can make it 2015 or 2010, right? Perfect. So that's going to be the first stuff. Then I'm going to supply the other one for the Pandas. It's going to be my GDF01.plot. Perfect. Then I can just give it a particular C map or color map. Color map is going to be, let's say, purples as we did. Then that is all, right? Then I'll just pass in the axis. So AX is equal to AS. Perfect. Then now I can do the world map. I can bring the world map behind it. So we had our world map here, which was this one. I just need to bring this particular world map that we have. It's going to be my world dot. We're using the boundary. You can just use the normal plot, but it's going to be world, then geometry dot boundary dot our plot, right? So that is a basic idea. Perfect. So then I'll just pass in this particular values for the color, for the edge, and then for the length. So if I say this one and I run it, it's going to overlap it and then give us our result perfectly, right? So we're going to see that fixed size, I made a mistake. Fixed size it's supposed to be this option, right? Fixed size. Why am I making a lot of mistakes? It's supposed to be fake size. Let's correct this one. You see the mistake I'm making. Subplots supposed to be plural. Okay, so that is the basic idea behind that. Subplots. We are doing two different plots. So it's going to give us our results. Perfect. Wow. That means that some countries, now there's one in Nigeria. The previous one, there was none in Nigeria. There was none in Morocco. Now we have some in Morocco. Wow. Italy has, wow, it's increasing. Wow. Wow, that is strange. Anyway, that is strange, right? The previous one that we did not have that particular kind of plot. This is totally different. That means that is changing. That is how to actually update your dataset, right? Very, very interesting. So we have seen how to update our dataset from where we got our dataset from, then mail them and then reshape them in a nice format. Now, how do we automate that particular process? So let's see how to automate that process. So in case you have not subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe to the channel and check the link below for some interesting materials to help you master machine learning and then Python. So we'll be trying to see how to automate it. So I'll come back to my test editor, then we'll start writing some code. So let's come back again to the place that we are working on. Then from here, we will try to write some code. So this is what we have done so far. So we have to make sure that we automate it so that every day it will automatically go to this particular website here and fetch the dataset for us. So I'll just come back to my location here. Then let's create a folder called auto data, right? Now move inside my auto data to automatically get the dataset. Then I'll just create a sample file and let's call this one as get COVID data.py, right? So to be fetching let's make it fetch. Fetch sounds nice. Fetch COVID data, right? Perfect. So now let's open my fetch Sublime, my fetch COVID data. So be trying to write some simple script to enable us that every day at a particular time it will fetch that one. So I'll just go with, let's make it bigger. I'll import time. I'm going to import pandas as PD as we did. Then I'm going to import schedule, right? So schedule, there's a whole video on how to work with schedule. So we're using schedule. So in case you don't have schedule, you can just go with pip install schedule to install schedule, right? That is how to install schedule. So that's what we're trying to use. So we're using time, pandas, and then schedule to help us with that. Then let's see how to work with this. So I'm just going to go back and create a simple function, just as we had a function here from here to make our work simple, right? So we had a function that went to fetch that particular data set and made it simple. So I'll just copy the same function that we have and use it for our script, right? So I'll just copy that particular function here. So that is the same function that we did. So everybody understands this particular function. That is what we used. That is the first one. So we need to get our URLs. So I'll just come back again to the top of my file and copy the URL, right? So I just come back here, copy these same URLs that you have, which is not going to change, right? The URLs are constant. So I just copy it here. So in most cases, you should make these ones capital, right? Because they are constant, they don't change, they are the defaults. But let's leave it like that. That is going to be the first one. So we have our URL, we have our function to get our data. And now let's add the scheduling aspect to it. But before we add the schedule, let's create a simple function to merge them, right? To merge all our data sets, so data. Then you'll be merging all of them. So we first of all merge our confirm. Then you also merge our which one again? Recovered. Then you merge our dates, not our dates. You merge the data set. Okay, that's right. So these are the basic stuff we're trying to merge. Then let's use a simple pandas function to help us with that. So in that case, I can just create a function called a new variable called df. Then I'll use pandas merge or join. We realize that we had this particular function here, this function that we use from pandas to help us join it, right? To join all of them together. So we'll be using the same stuff to join our data set. So I'll just come back here and then paste it here, right? That is the same thing. So this is going to be confirmed, recovered. We can just call it that names that we have here, so that it becomes this almost the same. Confirm. So we have confirm df, recovered df, and then det df, right? Just as we did here. So this is going to be confirmed. Perfect. So confirm df, recovered, then det. Very interesting. So that is something very simple, something very easy that you have done. So all our functions are here. Now we need to be able to work on it. And let's return this one. So return our new data frame. That is all. Perfect. So we are done with our work. So let's move on how to work with our scheduling. So I'll just create a main function to help us with that. So let's call that one as def. Let's call it as fetch data. That's the name of the function that you are giving. We're not going to supply any argument. Then this function is going to be used to fetch and then prepare the data, right? So that's the basic idea. Fetch and prep the data. So I'm going to go with my first one, which is going to be my confirmed df, confirm df, right? Then I'll pass in the same function that we did. So we had a function to help us with that. So it's going to be our get and milk data, which is going to take our confirmed cases URL, which is also going to take our confirmed column, right? That's the basic idea. So this thing that we are doing is the same thing as we did here. If you would remember, we did something like this, this one, right? The same thing. So that is what we are doing. This same thing is what we are doing here. So I just copy it and paste it here. So that we just match it up, right? So that's the same thing we are doing. So we are getting a melting data, taking the URL, and then doing the same thing that we did here, right? That is the basic idea. So we are going to fetch that one. Then let's convert them to a final data set. So let's call this final data. Let's call this final df. Then I'll use a merge function. So merge data. Then I'll pass in my confirmed, and then my recovered, and everything here. as above, right? So perfect. So you have been able to work with it perfectly well. Now let's give some information to the user. So let's go to saving data set. Perfect. So we are saving the data set. So at least the user will know that we are saving the data set, and let's call this one as print merging data, right? So that you know what is being done. Perfect. Now it would be very nice if after merging the data set we preview to the user, right? So let's call this one as print, and let's call it as preview data. So we'll just be previewing the last one. So print is going to be my final data dot tail, and I'll just give the last 5 values, right? So that we'll preview it first. Now let's save it. So I'll just use a file name. Let's call this one as file name, and I'll create a file name for it. So let's call this one as my COVID-19. Let's make it COVID-19 like this. Merge data, or we can call it COVID merge data set updated, right? Then I'll pass in the day. So this column here, I'll be passing in the time. So it's going to be dot format, and I'll pass in a time, so that anytime the person does it, that particular time will be used to register it, so that over time we have a whole list of data sets that we can know that this time this was how our data set was, right? It's not going to be huge. So I'm just going to create a time string for that. So let's go to time str, and I'll use the normal simple stuff to help us with that. So I'll just put this one here, right? So we have our time and we have a particular string. So this is a time string, so we're using that particular time to name it. Perfect. So I'll pass in that one here as my time string. Perfect. So we have been able to get it perfectly well. So we can just see that saving data as this particular option, dot format, then our file name. So that means I have to change this one up, bring this one up. This has been quite a long process, but this is how I actually do it, right? Perfect. So something very interesting. So this is going to preview it, then it's going to show the user that you are saving it. Then later on when it's finished, just tell them that finish. So finish activity, right? Finish. Perfect. Something like that. So we have been able to get something very simple. So this is something, a simple function. Now how do we automate it, right? So let's work with schedule. So we're doing schedule to help us with it. So this is going to be our task. It's going to be with schedule dot give it a particular time that you want to schedule it, so that every, maybe let's use let's say every 10 seconds, right, to test what you are doing. Every 10 seconds, what do I want you to do? So in every 10 seconds I want you to do an activity. So I want you to go and fetch that particular data set that you have, do this particular task. So every 10 seconds go to this particular URL and do this particular task, right? That's the basic idea. So how do we activate this? So it's going to be something like this. So wait, can use while rather, not wait. while true do our activity. So we're using our schedule dot run, and then I'll pass in my time dot sleep. Let's give it 1, right? So let's save it 1. So we have been able to write something very simple. So the basic idea of what we have done is that we just imported time in Pandas, and then we had a function to get our data from this particular URL that we have, which are constant. Then we are going to melt them together, right? Then we're going to mesh them, then we're going to put all of them together in this particular option. So let's run our script here and see whether it's going to work. So I just come back to this same place and run it as Python 3 my fetch COVID data. So let's run it and see. Hopefully there's no error because of how we were doing it. I hope there's no error. So it's running. At least we have to tell the user that something is beginning, right? So it's running. So we are waiting for 10 seconds before it works. So in case you are not subscribed to this channel, you can also subscribe and check the link below for some interesting courses on machine learning, Python, and then several other aspects, including data cleaning. Okay, so it gave us an error. So we have that name here. So let's check that one out. This is everything is from scratch. So this is def. Find out that's here. It's supposed to be that, right? On line 19. So just come back to line 19. It's supposed to be that. Not that, right? So that's hopefully there's no mistakes anyway. Let's try it again. I think the 10 seconds is too much, but let's try it. Hopefully there's no mistakes. So let's make sure that everything is correct. So recovered, dates, there are no typos. Okay, perfect. So let's try it and see whether it's working. Give us another error. So this one is not defined. Where is it? Oh, so this was where the mistake was. So this is supposed to be that. Let's make it plural, and let's make this one as plural. Right, so we have plural, and then right, so that actually it faces it. So we have this one has been made plural because it's coming from here, right? That, so that it works. So hopefully, let me select it before. Okay, so we have it 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, perfect. So let's check it out. I don't know, I think we have taken a lot of time on this, right? Because we're doing two different things. Anyway, we are investing our time, and then once we have been able to invest this particular time, you will not be doing everything again. Wow, so everything is working. So we have gotten our data set for this one. So after every 10 seconds, to go back to that particular website and then check it for us, right? So we have been able to achieve our goal. Perfect. And this is the time, right? It is still working perfectly as expected. Wow. So that is something very nice. So now let's stop this one that we have done. And if I come back to here, that our data set has been found. Where is it? Here. So we have it here. I think it did not save it, right? So that is it. So we have gotten it, but we did not save it. So let's save it, right? So this was just previewing it. So now let's save it with the final data set. .2 CSV, and I'm passing my file name. Right, so perfect. So by this option, it's going to save it. So let's reduce the time from 10 seconds to 5 seconds, right? So that we don't spend a lot of time because the thing is working perfectly. So after 5 seconds, we're going to check and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to see whether it was able to give us our data set as expected. Perfect. So just finish saving it. This is 5 seconds. If I come back here, wow. So you see I have our data set here, right? It's working perfectly. Now I can actually open it and see what you have done. So let's stop this one here. So I'll stop it. And then let's come back here. So we have our data set here, right? Perfect. So if I go with Python 3 import pandas as PD, then I can read it out. So let's read it here. pd.read, and let's go CSV. Hopefully there is no mistake with this. So COVID-19 merge dataset updated. That's a long name. I'll copy this one here, paste it here, right? It's supposed to be this option. Perfect. So if I go with head, well, everything is working, right? But we had the on name, so we have to change this on name. So everything is working as expected. If I do for the tail, everything is working as expected. So we have our current date, which is 4th of March, right? So that is how to do this entire process. So we can change this one here. Doing the name, you can set index to be false, right? So that we don't have index. Perfect. That is something very simple. So the basic idea of what that we have done is that we found a way of going to this particular website on GitHub, this repository by John Hopkins. We fetched the dataset from this particular updated one 13 hours ago, right? 13 hours ago, and then we saw a way of reshaping it into a format that we could use for our analysis, right? Into this particular format in which we could do an analysis on it. Then after doing all of those things, we merged them together, we saved them, we plotted some basic plots like this, and then we actually created a script to help us. So this thing that we have done, you can even add this one to it. You can even add this particular option to it, so that in that case, after it has finished, every date after it has finished, can just give you the picture, right? It can just print out the picture for you. Then you can see the image, right? That's another thing you can also do as an assignment. So thank you for watching this long tutorial. I don't know whether it was boring, but I thank you for watching and thank you for your time. See you in another session. Stay blessed.